can last, I think can last for 3 or 4 generations even. So we start to collect the sickle from the farmers because these farmers actually inherited the sickle from their father, the grandfather. So it's not only the sickle as object, but the sickle as also like historical, how you call it, like one of the collective memory for the farmer itself, and they have like their personal history of each sickle. And then it's very difficult for us to get, because all the farmers, they refuse to give us the sickle. Even if we want to buy the sickle with the high price, they didn't let us to have it. Because for them it's very personal. It's something that they inherited from previous generation. So that one is the expensive sickle, like 200,000. And then we went to another area. So for me itself as a curator working on this project is a lot of discovery. We found one village where all the villagers in that area, they make their blacksmiths, yeah. So all the houses, they make this sickle. So we see all the different process of making sickles, from the customized one to the, how you call it, like the more industrial. So we started to, I think for the younger generation, all the artists who join this project, who become part of this project, it's also a very good way of learning on how materiality is not only about the material to make something, to create an object, but it's also how every materials is actually connected to very specific cultural context, and they always have their own history. So I remember maybe just to decide which kind of sickle, we visited like around like 5-6 sickle workshops, all the blacksmiths. Next, maybe. So this is Leon at that time. So we started to, so this is, in the end, we found the sickle from Klaten. So this is quite big sickle factory. And in the beginning, we ordered like 700 sickle. And then, like the factory, why do you need so much of the sickle? And then also we try the weight, yeah, because the first one too heavy. So if we want to make the big sickle, the big wings, it was too heavy with the first sickle. So it's lots of experiment. It's really lots of trial and error with all different process and materials. Next one, maybe. So this is how it was assembled. We work with one of the welding guy, Lekwar, at that time. So the model, actually the one you saw from the mold is from paper, the first one that you saw. I remember like this one is like 250 kilos or something already. This is the 4 meters, yeah. Yeah, 4 meters, the biggest is 4 meters. Next one. And then Alfredo also did some of drawings from the wings image. And then next one. So this is the different installations and project that created during like 6 weeks residency at that time. So in the end, we made these 3 wings with different sizes. And then the most important is also the project where we talk to the farmer and ask them what is the meaning of sickle for them. And to go back to the history of this visual, the meaning of the visual symbol of sickle for during the 65, were involving the Communist Party. So we decided to interview around 65, no, actually we did more, and then we choose 65. So we present 65 farmers, each of them took their photograph with their sickle. And for me, it's also very interesting to see the difference of, like they tell us the meaning of sickle, but also how they pose with their sickle. Yeah, like they hold like this. And many of them actually, I remember many of the farmers, they wear the t-shirt from the political party. Because usually in Indonesia, during the political campaign, so like maybe next year you will see a lot of this, the political party, they always give free t-shirt. And so many of the farmers, they wear this t-shirt from the political party while holding the sickle. So it's very interesting also to look into the different meanings of, and the layers of the meaning for one photograph of this history of communism in the contents in the sickle, but at the same time to relate to what happened to the political situation now, and how actually even after the shifting of different regimes, the life of the farmer still the same. You never really have like the improvement of their wealth or economic position. While, yeah, I think there are so many layers from this photograph project that is very interesting. And when we see the exhibition, you saw how many? Eight drawings of the farmers. Tadi udah ada ya? Yang baru? Ya, ini. Yeah, so this is one of the example where Alfredo already transformed the farmer photograph into drawings. So you can see like, usually they also cover their head. This is also with t-shirt. And then the sickle itself really like symbolize their identity as a farmer. Next, maybe, exhibition view. So this is some of the text from the interview that represent the meaning of sickle for them. So for example, this one is, arit bagi saya sudah menjadi teman hidup. Saya membawanya kemana-mana, membantu penghidupan. So arit for me is like my life partner, because I brought this arit everywhere with me, and this is like something that really supporting my life. So, like even something small and almost forgotten like sickle, for a farmer, it can be something very meaningful. This is like something that really hold on, something they rely on to do their works. Coba satu lagi, yang teks tadi. Yang teks tadi? Yeah. So the second one, for example, the farmer said, I inherited this sickle from my father. My father inherited this from my grandfather. So the sickle actually already lasts for 3 generations. Yeah, so I think the most important of this project is not only what we created, not only the installation or the objects that we created, but the whole process of working together, not only between us, all the young students who really learn so much. We become really like family at that time. We went around.
Had many children,
hang
more
out.
children.
Yeah, you have like 6 children, 6 more children in Jogja. but also how we created the space for these young students, art students, to connect with farmers, to think about the history of one material, one objects, and the whole conversations on how we created like installation from process and materials. I think that's one of the things that the students really learn a lot. And then we have the exhibition, and it was very strong and powerful exhibition. But for me, the story of the process is not stopping there. Every time we have people coming, we have another story. So one time, we invited some of farmers and people who cut. So there is this group of people that they offer the service of cutting trees. So they bring this sickle also, like going around the kampung, offering their service. So I invite them to come to see the exhibition. And then they were like, so, wow, they never think that the objects or the tools that they bring every day in their life, it can be transformed into artworks. And they really felt relate to that artwork. So I think that's the beauty of this kind of like collaboration and community engaged process, that the story is not only circulating between the artist and the community itself, but always continue as well to the audience where the artworks presented. So I think that's really the meaning of the title of this exhibition as well. So I felt like it's everywhere you will develop the new story from different comments or different reaction from the audience. So yeah, thank you for giving me the chance and opportunity to work on this project. And yeah, it really gives me lots of experience as well in learning on my own identity as Javanese. Also thinking about something that we never knew before, because for me the weapons, this kind of idea of sickle and keris was always very masculine. But then at that time I really immersed myself, like learning about all this hierarchy of these weapons and everything, and the meaning in Javanese tradition. So I think, yeah, there are so many layers of discourse that we can learn from this project. Thank you very much.
Alia, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I think it really goes to show that an object is not just an object, right? Like, I mean, it was part of the conversation that we had with presences and absences that everyone has a toothbrush, but that toothbrush is somehow connected to an individual. And I think as for those of us who are interested in artists and their work, these types of relationships with the curator and also with the community is actually what makes the work the work. And I'm actually, what's really fascinating, if you guys have a look at the exhibition, you see the Aquilizan's exhibition, and then we have the Ai Weiwei work, and then we have the exhibition about the Sini Dan Line Line. It is really something that we're fascinated with at the moment, is that how do we, as individuals in a society, see ourselves reflected in the histories of art? And I think it's a really important question, and in many ways it's something that you've been doing since the mid-1990s. Before we, I do have some things that we could continue to talk about. I'm wondering if anyone in the audience has a question for either for the artists or for Alia. You must. It's so rich with information. Okay, well, while you guys are thinking about your questions, I just wanted to come back to this idea of collaboration. And one thing perhaps that the audience doesn't know about is that actually your ideas of collaboration not only springs from your family, and I think that you've spoken about your immediate family and your extended family and your growing family of artists, but it also comes out of your own experiences as teachers. And I wonder if you could spend just a couple of minutes just filling us in on that story. Like, where does collaboration start for you, and why did it happen?
Well, where will I start? I think it goes back to when, of course, Alfredo, well, in the Philippines, we taught at the Philippine High School for the Arts. This is the school that Imelda Marcos established during the 1970s. And Alfredo was teaching in the visual arts, and I was teaching in the theater arts. And we ended up creating and helping each other doing projects. Like he would come in my classes, he would help us create our stage design and everything. At the same time, I would do that in some of his projects too, in his with his students. And also at some point, we came up with an elective or another course that is open for the different students who has their own, from the music majors to the theater major, to the writers, to the visual artists, to the dance majors, and made them all come together. And just that very idea of creating something, or not even creating something, but just being together. And of course, with all these creative minds, we are all able to come up with a project that eventually becomes a performance, or something that does with puppetry. And it's just been a fluid and organic way of interacting and working together.
I think as much as we're very interested with the outcome, we're very much into the process. Like, you know, we can just start with one idea, like, for example, the ARIT. And with these students who have really highly young and very highly creative kids, you know, by just putting them all together in one space, we will be able to come up with something. So that, I think, for us, you know, very interesting. It's always just like a blank canvas, if you like. You know that you won't be able to see what the outcome is, but I think just looking into all the avenues where it leads you, the possibilities and how it develops. And I think that's for us more fascinating. So that basically started, in a way, probably that informs also our art practice from those collaboration. And then when we started actually going out and doing workshop with communities and doing the same methodology, I suppose, and I think up until now, I think if you look at all the works, most of the works that we've created or in different location, I think it's always like, you know, not always something that we expect, but it's something always that, you know, surprises us. One example probably is this work behind us, wherein we just, you know, in Chengdu, China, where we get all these volunteer kids come every day, which is fascinating because they just, you know, all this group of kids just coming, and we don't even know where they're coming from. You know, they just come and make, and then in the end, we came up with these huge installations of, you know, a plethora of different shapes and forms and textures and so on. So, but also it's also reciprocal, wherein, you know, we get to learn from them, but at the same time teach them about not only, you know, creating forms and shapes, but also talking about, you know, where we're coming from. But also, it's interesting to say also that these are all also like aesthetic contemplations, if you like. So we can share also our knowledge into how, lines works with these shapes and so on, and talks about proportion, in different levels, like kids to high schools to. So I think that sprang out. That's where the collaborative sprang out. That idea.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the floor?
Maybe I'll just add a little bit from that statement. So I think the collaboration, as I experience working with them, is there is this balance of thinking and making that maybe it's not always, in many collaborations, sometimes you tend to have like one emphasizing more than the other, but what I really like working with them is really like the balance of between the thinking and the making, between the research and the result. So if you see the exhibition or each of the installation of the works, you see as an artist, they really still, thinking about the aesthetic, the visual, the artistic practice, but it's not only about the aesthetic to make something good, but it's really how you create like the space of co-creation that somehow sharing also the history and like knowledge production of different people with different background. I think that's something really beautiful about the process of collaboration.
And what was the experience of the farmers coming in to see the show? Like, how did they react when they saw the exhibition?
Yeah, I think like for them, they never think that art can be artworks because like for farmers, what they imagine or they understand about art is the painting that hanging on the wall, or maybe more like the sculpture that you saw around in the as like public monument or something. So when they come and see, like some of them I saw that they are speechless, yeah, like they cannot like, wow, it's just because for them it's really like they felt their experience also being articulated in that objects, in that installation. So they see their life also there. And then, like they start to talk each other on, the different sizes of the sickle and how all these objects entangle together. So some of them is quite technical conversations, but yeah, for them it's really like, now it's kind of like there is something that opened their mind of what art is and how art is connected to their lives. Yeah.
I think it's a great project for exactly that reason. We try so hard, and I think that most organizations and institutions now try so hard to break down those barriers between who is allowed and who is not allowed. And I think that work resonates, and actually the whole exhibition resonates with so many people because it's about all of us in a way. Like every one of us carries some kind of migration story or some kind of journeying story, and I think that as we've been watching the comments on social media about this show, how much it touches people really emotionally, like a piece of cardboard, like or the blankets have really impacted people. So I think, yeah, the toothbrushes in particular. And guys, if you still have toothbrushes, you're more than welcome to donate them to us. This installation will grow.
Yeah, I think working with ordinary, mundane, everyday object is also a conscious thing for us to. We started. It's a strategy actually for us to be able to connect to our audience, and if an audience automatically associate and to the object in itself. I think that's the entry point wherein, that's when they start thinking about what it's all about, and thinking deeper. And I think that's something for us very important to demystify what art is. Bringing art from its pedestal, going to that level of, wherein everyone is actually part of it, and bringing back the ecology of art and everyday life.
Yeah, and it's really, it's really important for us that everyone can be part of something. That accessibility, there's so much to talk about, to question. These objects are here, not just, of course, it can be a wing, it can be something beautiful, but we have to investigate. Why is it there? You have to ask what, where, and when, and why.
I think, I don't know if it's written a while ago, but our work is all about engagement. Engagement with the site and the place where the work is being created, and in engagement with the space where it is being. And I think finally, it's the engagement also of the exhibition. Like now you see all these different works that being put together and create some kind of a context in some ways that recontextualize each individual work. But in the end, I think it's also most importantly engagement with the audience and the people we work with. And each and every audience that engage with it brings their own experience and their stories, that multiplies the meaning of the work. And I think the work goes on, and multiplies. And for us, I think those levels, different levels of collaborative processes, I think is probably, speaks of what our practice is all about.
And with that, I think let's put our hands together to thank the artists, Isabel and Alfredo Aquilizan, and also Alia Swastika for being with us this afternoon.
Terima kasih.
Yeah, thank you.
Terima kasih.
Thank you. Terima kasih. All right, so once again, I'd like to thank our speakers for the day and everyone who has supported the project. Isabel and Alfredo, thank you for sharing with us today. And Alia, thank you for your time. And thank you, Aaron, for hosting the session. Isabel, Alfredo Aquilizan, Somewhere Elsewhere. It's organized by MACAN. This assisted the Australian government through the Australian Council. It's art funding and advisory. MACAN also gratefully acknowledges the Fiafus Gallery and the lenders to the exhibition for their generosity. And this exhibition will be presented at Museum MACAN until the 8th of October. So we're actually only on just our second day. So there's be plenty of public programs to come in the upcoming weeks, and stay tuned for more information about the public programs and also the exhibitions on our social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. So once again, thank you for joining us today. Stay safe, take care, and have a good weekend, everyone. Thank you.
By the way, you are all invited to do something in the making room.
Yeah, of course.
Just to create your stories in this little box.